What's up, my ripe little tomatoes? This is Rob from Gay Guy Plays, and today on the Daily Grind, we're going to be taking a look at my top 5 under 10. Now, unless I manage to come up with a clickbaitier title, you probably already know what's going on here. However, if I manage, yes, then this is my top 5 primary weapon picks under Mastery Rank 10. Now, for those of you dedicated players out there who are like, how dare you? I am Mastery Rank 25? I need you to move along with this peasant bullshit. Well, I do have to reassure you that all of these weapons are pretty freaking strong, and there are a couple throwbacks in there that I do definitely think need a little bit of a revisit. A little bit of that OG kind of love. So, without ado, new players and dedicated players alike, let's go ahead and jump on in. Alrighty, so as you can see, we have no bamboozling going on here. We have a level 165 Corrupted Bombard, aka Mr. Billy Man. But one of the things that I wanted to remind you of is, the Dread is a Mastery Rank 5 weapon. So this is actually a common drop-off of the Stalker at I think 37-ish%. It's somewhere there. And it can evaporate a level 165 Bombard. It's kind of freaking crazy. But one of the things that I do want to ask you guys, because I think that this is pretty big, do you notice many people using Bozz anymore? Is that just not a thing? Because I remember when I was playing, Bozz were like freaking massive. They were, you know, you would see everybody using them all over the place. Enemies would be pinned to the walls left, right, and center, and I just don't feel like it's as big of a thing these days. You know, we take a look at weapons like maybe the lens, and you're like, well, that's a bow, technically, right? But it's more of like a crazy explosive weapon. So a part of me is very, very curious about the rest of you guys and how you are feeling with the Bow Nation. Is it just not something that you jive with, or is it something that maybe you need to go back and revisit? Now let's go ahead and take a look at the stats for the Dread itself. So the base stats, as you can see here, has a critical chance of 50%. It's got a critical multiplier of 2 times. It's got the average accuracy of a bow. They did kind of go through all of the bows recently, and they lowered the innate charge time. So I remembered that I felt like I needed to use speed trigger on them ages ago. Not a thing that I need to worry about now. But here's the other thing. It's got a status of 20%, and as you can see, its main damage type is slash. Now let's take a look at the build that I'm currently running on this. No ribbons in this setup. But as you can see right here, we're using a standard critical build, and I put Hunter's Munitions on it. Now, we do have the option of tossing on Argon Scope to kind of help out a little bit more, but as you can see, just with Point Strike on its own, it's already sitting at 125% critical chance. So I'm like, maybe let's go ahead and toss on some Vigilante Armaments, and then we'll make that a whole thing, right? I feel like, why are there 2 nubs on this? Regardless, for me personally, I think that Vigilante Armaments with the multi-shot gets you like the occasional extra arrow, which means another chance at a slash proc. So this is my current setup for it, but I do have a ribbon that I use for it. I would drop that and then go ahead and bring in this baby right here, which is critical damage and multi-shot. So it's basically like the same thing that we had going on, except it's got additional critical damage to boot. So definitely check out the Dread if you guys haven't already. It's Mastery Rank 5. Alright, so the next one up is an old favorite. Yes, we have the Bozz. This is a silenced machine gun that sits at Mastery Rank 7 and is available from the Tenno Lab of your clan dojo. Let me tell you right now, that was absolutely freaking gorgeous. Just watching all of those slash procs eat away and Mr. Billy Man. But as you can see right here, it's a very, very high performing weapon. One of the downsides to this is I really do feel like it eats through an excessive amount of ammo, and I mean that can be solved really by just letting the slash procs do its work. But to make up for it, if you're an Avara main, legitimately, this will not break your prowl, so you should be very, very happy about that. In addition, I have to say, this is one of the freaking best looking weapons that are like, that I think they're like non-10, that are Tenno based weapons that are non-prime. And I really like, I'm waiting. This is really what I'm waiting for. I want a Bozz Prime. That would make me super duper freaking happy. So let's go ahead and take a look at the stats of this real quick. So as you can see, at its base, it has a critical chance of 26%, which is fairly juicy. It's got a 3 times critical multiplier. They're literally saying, you need to make this a crit weapon, okay? Then, of course, as you can see, it is silent. It's got a status chance of 10%, which is kind of... and then its base damage is in the lower end of the spectrum with Puncture leading the way. But the way that we turn this into a slash monster is we take advantage of all of the critical chance that we possibly can. So as you can see right here, we are running another crit build. Yes, we are running viral on it again. We have Hunter's Munitions on there, and then we also have Argon Scope. Now, the reason I'm using Argon Scope on this specific build is because of the fact that we do want to try to push this as high as we possibly can with the crits, so that we can get all of the slash procs that come off of Hunter's Munitions. Now, I do want to go ahead and put this in there because I do have a Riven for it, critical chance, multi-shot, and status duration, which I think pairs really, really nicely with all of the slash procs that we've got going on. Now, I don't know what it is about bows and crossbows. Maybe it's people's aversions to like anything with bolts, but legitimately the Nagataka can be a pretty crazy beast. Now, this is Mastery Rank 9. It is available in the market, so you can just pick up its blueprints straight out of the gate. And as you can see, this thing is a big freaking massive crossbow. This is the signature weapon of Garuda, and you get bonus punch through with that little lady if she's got it equipped in her hand. It's got 2 different fire modes. So as you can see right here, that's just the standard, you know, semi-auto fire mode. But you can also empty the rest of your clip by using the secondary fire. In fact, I think it's a good idea because the burst actually has a better reload speed than the semi-auto. So if you're just semi-auto, 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 then what ends up happening is you get the slower of the 2 reload speeds when you can actually just go ahead and just empty the last bit of the clip. But here's an interesting thing too. If you get lucky on a headshot, I think it's a 50% chance. If you kill an enemy with a headshot, what ends up happening is you get a reload speed boost. Now, one of the downsides of this weapon and getting headshots, which kind of annoy me, is the fact that I was trying to be so careful, is that legitimately he is guaranteed an impact proc. So whenever you hit an enemy, they're going to stagger a little bit. So the next shot, you're going to have to realign up. And then, of course, you get all of those slash procs that kind of go off. So even if you got all of that going on, what ends up kind of happening is you're like racing your slash procs. Oh, I can do it again. But know that it exists. It is, I believe, a 50% reload speed increase. So it's going to be one of those. Let's go ahead and take a look at the base stats on this. So as you can see, the critical chance is kind of meh at 15%. But it does have a 2.3 times critical multiplier, which is quite nice. This is a silent weapon, so another one for all of you Avara mains out there. But where this thing really shines is going to be its status chance at 39%. And as you can see, its IPS spread is mainly focused on slash. Like, I'm talking about like 143 points of slash, and then the next follow-up to that is 14.3. Literally 10% of that first number, and then we've got a 1.6, which is like, you could say kind of like 10% of the second number, almost 10%. It's less, it's more than 10%, but just slightly. Anyway, ignore me. But one of the things that I wanted to point out is the reload speed is 2.3 on the semi. Then, of course, the burst variation is only 2. I don't feel like any of the stats really change here, aside from that and the fire rate. But, of course, it is a burst fire rate. So maybe that's just the point that they wanted to go ahead and make there. I don't know. But let's go ahead and take a look at the build real quick. And no, I don't have a Riven for it this time. So, as you can see, I do have Serration on this as well as Prime Shred. I felt like it was a little slow, so I needed to go ahead and toss that Prime Shred on there. However, if you're okay with its base speed, feel free to substitute something else. Like I always say with all of my builds, take it as kind of like a suggestion, not like a must-have. You know, I'm just putting that out there. To, like, get inspired and make your own variant, right? So as you can see, I did choose Vigilante Armaments over something along the lines of Argon Scope, and that's mainly because of the fact that the status is really the main focus for me on this, and applying as much slash as possible. Now, speaking about weapons that we have not seen in quite some time, when was the last time that you picked up the Scourge? Keep in mind, that's a level 165 Bombard, and the Scourge is a Mastery Rank 6 weapon. So this status-based staff, or spear gun, I believe spear gun is the term. Listen, it looks like I'm gonna spank somebody in the booty with it. But legitimately, this thing absolutely melts. And you have to keep in mind that its projectile also has a 3-meter explosion radius. So you can actually hit multiple targets and start stripping a lot of targets at once with this. But that's not the end of the story, because legitimately it is a spear gun, so it has the spear portion in it. So you can go ahead and use secondary fire to go ahead and chuck it at an enemy, or chuck it at the ground. And you see this little nebula that's surrounding him right now? That is a bullet attractor. So what's happening is he's getting a bullet attractor straight to the dome, which legitimately means that all of the shots that you aim within that little bubble space will actually give you headshot damage. So it's very, very nice if you don't want to try very hard whatsoever. But even just on its own, merit, like, this thing just, it's a lot. It's a lot, right? I'm not crazy. So I feel like it's extremely, extremely impressive for its rank. But let's go ahead and take a look at its base damage to figure out exactly why it's doing what it's doing. So its critical chance is 2%. So we know we're not modding for that. 1.5 times critical multiplier. And the big thing here is the fact that its status chance sits at 30%, which is very, very nice. And its base damage is corrosive, which is quite sexy because you don't see too many weapons with their base damage as corrosive. Now, the cool thing about this is because of the fact that it does have that base damage, you can go ahead and toss radiation and viral on this thing, which means you literally have a corpus killer. Well, technically, not corpus, I mean Grenier. Oh my god, my brain. It's really, really late at night, just to let you know that. But as you can see here, we have invested in the full 100% status variation of it. And then, in addition, we just topped everything off with a little vigilante armaments to give us more projectiles, because listen, we get to strip them down and bear glory to our staff. Right? Or spear gun. I think it works either way. Listen, we're gonna be dirty. It's late at night. That's what happens. Okay, so you're not allowed to get mad at me. I'm speaking to the long-term viewers of this channel because you know what's coming next. It's Mastery Rank 7. And it's completely valid on this list, so it's gonna be on this list. In fact, I'm gonna put it on every list that I potentially can put it, because my little squish baby is a beautiful and wonderful little monster, okay? Yes, I understand that in the infested lab of your clan dojo, this takes a whole bunch of resources to build. But I just annihilated a level 165 Bombard, aka Mr. Billy Man, with one mod missing. This is what I mean. Like, get your lives together, make it happen, get your hands on this, because this is kind of freaking insane, and I love it. And it doesn't end there, okay? Do you hear this? Okay? It does not sound the same here, because it's screaming for joy that it's getting headshots, and it's like, I love you, thus I will give you life. Yes, it actually restores your health upon headshot. So think about this for all of those extremely tanky frames out there that just take pieces of damage, right? I'm looking at you, Inaros. I'm looking at you, Chroma. All of these tanky ass motherfuckers with the HEMA, you just ain't gonna die. Combine that with a little arcane grace, bitch, and oh my goody gracious, like, you will be alive forever. And it's just because you were willing to put in the investment on a little bit of a difficult farm, okay? So let's go ahead and take a look at these stats real quick, and let me prove to you that this is worth your loving. So as you can see, its critical chance is low at 11%. Its critical multiplier is 2 times, but its status is 25%. Now, of course, this is a burst weapon, so we don't have to worry about any of the weird shotgun shenanigans that go on. But as you can see, its base damage is viral, which is very nice, because what you can do is you can strip away enemy armor using something like corrosive and then inflict some viral on everything that's left over. And that's why this baby is just so, that's why it's my little squish baby, right? So as you can see right here, we have a little bit of prime shred to quicken things. Then we've got malignant force and high voltage for that corrosive damage. I've in fact pushed the corrosive damage a little bit more to the forefront with the use of infected clip. Then of course we have our best friend vigilante armaments giving us a few more projectiles. Now one of the big reasons why I didn't have a mod on there, like literally you can put whatever mod you really freaking want in there. You can go ahead and put in another element, you could do a bunch of different things, but the big reason is because I have this Riven and it's a D. I'm just saying. Now I'm not saying that this Riven is a good Riven, but it does have a multi-shot in there, so that's kind of nice. But as you can see, it's also improving the critical chance of this weapon, and it kind of just makes my heart soar. I just feel like such a proud parent. I swear, I'm just gonna show it to you one more time with the Riven on there, because literally, I'm so proud. My heart is full. Now, if y'all are pissed off at me for the last one, which I guarantee there are some people still harboring a bit of resentment for it, I decided to go ahead and throw in a bonus one so that y'all can't say I didn't fulfill my quota, okay? And this one, I don't feel like I see too many people using very much, but we do have the Phantasma. This comes in at Mastery rank 9, and its blueprint is actually available in the market. You can see that this baby actually does a bit of work, and it has a very, very interesting alternate fire. The thing that I do need to mention here is that it is capped at 20 meters, so you do need to get kind of sort of close with this one in order to go ahead and kind of strip away enemy stuff. But as you can see here, its alternate fire releases a blob. It releases a blob that releases seeking projectiles. It's like a bunch of release, basically. Now what you can do is you don't need to charge it up all the way, but the longer you charge it, the more damage the explosion is going to do. And it's kind of pretty, right? So you get a nice little combo there. It's a little bit of differentiation. But one of my favorite things about it is its reload speed is literally a breath. Like, did you catch that? That was its reload. Literally, that's all you're doing for its reload. It's just a little quick click, and it's really, really nice. And it pairs really, really well with the new, what is it called? The new effects, the new visual effects. So you get some really, really pretty visual effects off of it. Oh my god, I need to check though. If that explosion deals damage to yourself. I don't want to check because then it's going to ruin it for me. Leave it down in the comments below. I'm going to pretend not to see it. I'm going to pretend not to see it if God damn it. So, let's go ahead and take a look at its base stats. As you can see right here, the critical chance is a big fuck you. That's what it is. Sitting at 3%, and its critical multiplier is 1.5 times. However, it does shine in its status at 37%, and its base damage is a really interesting mix of impact and radiation. Now, when it comes to its secondary fire, as you can see, the status does not change, nor does the crit. It's just a charge. So that's the big difference right there. And let's take a look at the build that I have for it, which, to be completely honest, would be a shocker to me because I haven't looked at this build before I even showed you guys. So if anything's wrong here, please don't blame me. However, this does seem to be a standard status build using Shell Shock, Toxic Barrage to strip off enemy armor. Then we've got some fire in there because I don't like going for blast because I feel like it knocks down enemies too much. And while that's great CC, it prevents you from getting headshots. But listen, you do what the hell you want to do with your life. There's more than enough space for you guys to alter this and play around with the way you want to approach it. So that about does it for my top 5 5 out of 10. Let me know down in the comments below if there are any other low mastery rank primary weapons that you think that I might have missed, and maybe we can go ahead and check those out. Now, if you guys really do like this video, please let me know down in the comments below, because legitimately, we could do secondaries, we can do melee, we would just have to leave out kick guns and zaws, because those are kind of insane. Regardless, leave all of your feelings down in the comments below, and as always, love somebody, hurt nobody, and touch your body. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye!